Hey guys, welcome back to SourceFedNERD. Today we're gonna be doing, what is it?
Best thing I saw all week.
Nailed it.
Sorry, guys.
Didn't rehearse it, threw it on you guys. You did great. If you guys don't know, this is the podcast that we're testing out on the channel where each of us brings something to the table. It can be a movie, a TV show, web video, meme even.
Coffee.
It could be a coffee, a meme. And we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna discuss it, why we love it, why we think it's the
best thing I saw all week.
And we're gonna get it one day. We're gonna get some cheerleaders. They're gonna come in here. They're gonna be having the spell.
We're gonna get some ladies with their boobs out.
The Lieberman ladies.
It could be boys soup.
We're gonna get some.
To do it.
We're gonna get some guys with their titties out.
With their titties
and
out.
Written
guys
best
with
things.
tits.
And specifically, we're gonna kick it off today with guys with titties out. That's the best.
That's
thing
the best
we
thing I saw all
week. But really quick teaser. Philip, what are you gonna bring to the table?
I'm going to be talking about Tony Zhao, Every Frame of Painting's latest video essay. Love that guy.
I love that channel. It's very cool.
Yeah.
How about you, Whitney?
I've changed my mind at the last minute
What?
because I saw
Good.
something
Good,
that I
because we
wanted, but they have assets for it, so I'll just go with Son of Zorn, first episode.
Son of Zorn.
That's
That's that
show.
new Fox show?
Yeah,
Yeah.
wait,
It's the new Fox show.
Wait a minute, that's the new Fox show.
thing ever.
Yay.
New Fox thing ever.
We're syncing up. And I'm going to be talking about the new FX show created by Donald Glover, Atlanta. I'm very excited about that. But to kick it off, actually, I'll kick it off. I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to go ahead and start off with Atlanta. There's a little graphic like with that there. There's that poster. Look at those peaches.
Because they're
Georgia peaches.
'Cause it's
So
Atlanta.
this show's about Jimmy Carter.
It is. Very good guess. Did you get it from the poster? Okay, so which one of you guys have checked out this show thus far?
You showed me a little bit of it.
A little trailer.
And then I've seen the pilot.
All right, there's 3 episodes out right now. I believe they're airing either on Sunday or Monday on FX. And it's been created by Donald Glover and probably a few other people. And it stars Donald Glover. He wrote the first 2 episodes as well. So for me, I've never really been too into Donald Glover. Not that I don't like him. Community wasn't a
What's
big...
your exposure? Is it just Community?
And his music and part of his stand-up. And part of his stand-up was funny. But I've never watched the whole thing, and Community wasn't for me.
I love his music.
Yeah,
Really?
he's very good. He's a very talented boy.
He is extremely talented. If you guys know Donald Glover from Derek Comedy too.
Oh my God, yes.
When it started out, the dry blowjob, like the worst blowjob ever.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was
Aaron
him.
from The
Spelling
Office.
Bee.
Yeah.
Spelling Bee, the one I know that one, and when he shits his pants in class and he's like, "Oh, just skateboard."
Oh, yeah.
now."
That's just like their sense of humor, specifically. Like, all right.
Yeah, just getting that.
I'm surprised you don't like Community. They had Derek Comedy had a big influence on Community, aside from the Dan Harmon influence. But also, he not so much anymore. But he used to perform very regularly as part of Shitty Jobs at UCB. And they did my job once. I used to have a job where I had to call people and talk about the wonders of Mootopia.
What is that?
Oh, I'll tell you, it's wonderful.
Tell us, please tell
It's like
us.
one of these things sponsored by the Dairy Committee. But anyway, and they performed or whatever. But Donald Glover is excessively funny, like a very funny guy. Him, Ben Schwartz is also in that group. But the moment I saw this show and had his name all over, I was really excited because all of these comedians who you know in a very popular sitcom, maybe like Community or a 30 Rock or something. Oh, the 30 Rock's a bad example. I'll explain why in a second. They need to have their moment where it's like, look at my voice, me doing exactly what I was born to do. And if you look at this show, you watch the pilot, it gets to the credits, and it says, written by Donald Glover, like directed by Donald Glover, executive produced by Donald Glover. Yeah. And he purposely is doing that because like, this is me pure. This is the purest form of what he
You get that,
finds funny.
especially when you watch it, like I can feel it. I can feel his
for sure.
heart
Yeah.
in this project. And it's just a quick synopsis of the story. He is a down-and-out young man living in Atlanta. He doesn't really have a good job. He's working at the airport. He's not making enough money. But he also is living with what you can assume is maybe his girlfriend, or at least is his baby mama because he has a daughter. And like his parents aren't really talking to him. But he knows that his cousin has recently, he's a rapper, and one of his songs got really popular. Paperboy in Atlanta. So he wants to manage him as a way to make money to help out his daughter and also get his life back on track. So it's that story from there. And there's a lot of, I don't want to go further into it because the pilot is one of my favorite pilots I've ever seen. I love the way there's like a mystery in it. Without going too far into it, I'm going to control myself because spoilers like to fly out of my mouth sometimes. So I'm going to be careful. But the way the story is handled in that pilot, I've never seen before. And the follow-up episodes keep driving this kind of dark comedy, which like it definitely is that. It definitely has moments of like, this is really really funny. Like the scenes are really set up. There's a moment in the second episode where basically Donald Glover is stuck in between two people and they're both flirting, and the guy like to his right can't figure out that the girl over here was a man and now is a girl, but she's also like for reasons they're all like all the people in the room are only supposed to be men, and like he can't figure out that it's a man, and like people make fun of him about it like for being gay, and like but then you start to realize the culture behind it of like how bad it is in their eyes to be gay, and like there's like a little bit of, like mental health issues that they deal with, and like it's very cool, and also like the humor.
Homophobia.
I gotta just say the humor in it is top notch. It's
Yeah?
it's so
It's the kind of
funny.
show you have
Check it
to
out.
listen to every line, though. It's my favorite kind of writing. In fact, when I used to be really into trying to write, a note I got out in my writing was like, you're very into jokes that people will not catch. And I'm like, yep, that's me. That's why they don't laugh. That explains it.
Philip writes jokes for smart people.
But Donald Glover, in his script, you're noticing every line has like a little hidden joke in it that they just like gloss right over.
Or you'll be able to revisit it at a later time,
definitely.
and it pays off even more.
Yeah.
That's got to be so weird being a person that wants to have just purely your vision and you're writing and producing and starring in it. I don't know if I know any people like that. And I like to think that Donald Glover is like a cool, nice guy, but that is crazy to me being like, this is the Whitney Moore show, everybody. I write it and I star in it and it's just me.
I'll say normally it doesn't work out that well, actually.
Yeah.
I had a friend who had a good feature and it did well, but I was honest with him the whole time. I was like, this movie would be better if you were not the lead in it.
Zach Braff. I didn't
Oh,
mean to
yeah,
hit that.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
Zach
That's
Braff,
what I was talking
right?
about. Zach
Yeah,
Braff,
it was Zach Braff, your best friend.
My guy friend. Something you mentioned about the culture that's really interesting to me. So I'm from Florida, and Atlanta is a 6-hour drive from where I went to school, and so we would go there sometimes. Atlanta is one of these metropolises.
Metropolitan areas.
Metropolitan areas. And you might know it from the first season of Walking Dead, but that's like one version of the city. But another version of the city, it's like they had the '96 Olympics there. They kind of made it look really nice. There's Millennium Park. It's fancy, but it actually is still has like really poor people there in poor areas. And one of the things that has come out of Atlanta a number of times is rap and rappers. And so to them, that is the ticket to escaping the disease of poverty.
No, and they really write on that in the series. It's also it's a different point of view for me because it's like it really like holds on to the idea of imagine if you grew up in an area where you weren't well off financially and everybody else is, what would happen to everyone there? Because these are real things, but normal everyday people like they don't really experience, and this show has a very good way of capturing the culture of the area and exposing it in a way that is both comedic but also kind of depressing. So it very much
That's my
juggles
favorite
that.
kind of show or story or comic or anything.
Rick and Morty.
Yeah, stuff that is funny but also kind of depressing.
Yeah. Oh, Rick and Morty definitely.
They locked into that by making Donald Glover's character our lead. He's not the one who's blowing up. He's the one trying to hitch a ride.
Yeah.
And that is so relatable.
That's such an
from that sad
interesting
place.
like direction to go. Is that it's not his.
He's kind of you get the feeling sometimes that he's kind of a scumbag, but he's not. But you get that kind of feeling because
gotta
he's trying to
hustle.
ride. He's hustling and trying to help out his cousin, obviously. But you kind of get sometimes you're like he's obviously trying to help him for a very specific reason.
Yeah,
of
it's for
kind of
him.
feeding off of. It's for his daughter, but at the same time, when he describes it more and more, you're like, I can't tell if it's really about you or if it's about the people you care about. Like I can't tell who you're using
But
or
going
whatnot.
into that game, the rap game, as we all know so well,
We're
going
all a
into
part of
yeah,
it, yes.
exactly. Shimmy, shimmy, yeah. But don't you guys realize, like even in our professions, even working here at SourceFed, where it's like this kind of work. It makes it so. Sorry, I got distracted by something.
It's all good.
This kind of work, you have to hustle. You don't show up to show business, right? You have to find a back door in, or you have to ride someone's coattails, or it's who you know. Well, you got a job here through interning, right? So you didn't know anyone before you came in?
No.
Oh, how about you? You came through friendships, though.
I don't remember
the
how
YouTube
I
game?
met Steve. I think
here?
actually, yeah, I
Was
think
it here?
Oh.
no, I think that Jeremy actually was like, hey, because I knew him from before from Machinima.
Yeah,
So you
And
so
he
you
was
haven't had an
like-
in though.
I had just had sex with everybody here. That's how I
They
got
had
all
it
my
in,
jobs.
if you
Yeah.
will.
Right. Oh, yeah.
No, well, for me, I mean, I had a friend that trusted me once, and I was really hating my job fixing computers, and I bugged the hell out of him, and eventually he let me start writing some jokes for him, and then eventually he let me edit for him, and then now I have a career in YouTube. This kind of work, you don't get a degree and guaranteed job placement, and if he is going to go into the music world, I feel like I don't blame him at all for seeing an opportunity and just jumping in.
And and especially the pilot deals with what kind of shadier things you have to do in the music industry. Well, how you kind of have to be backstabbing a little bit, but also at the same time, it's not totally. You're just kind of screwing over one person to help out a lot more. So I don't know.
Is it just the pilot that's out right now?
No, pilot is out for free on iTunes, so you can go download it. There's a place for you to go watch it. Also, the second episode came out. You can purchase that, and now the third episode's out. First two came out at the same time. So,
That's a lot in just a pilot.
and it's
Yeah, it's
only
fascinating.
22-minute episodes too.
And not that we need to, but we didn't even touch on like the race relations. It has a lot of commentary about what it's like to be a black guy and in 2016, and it still is Atlanta, so it's still not quite 2016.
Yeah, no, and that's especially. I mean, I find that the most interesting, especially like again, pilot. You see how a white guy who is in the music industry like talks to him, and he uses like the N-word, but then when he goes over to a bunch of black guys who are leaving the recording studio, he says, "Sup, dudes," and like he like changes it, and he tells this whole story where he like drops the N-word, and then like later when Donald Glover is with like his friends, like his cousin who's like in the music industry too, he's like, "Oh, tell that story again. Tell it just like you did before," and it's like, and like he gets like super awkward and everything. It's a fun exchange, but
That's cool.
I highly recommend it. I'm hooked. I'm gonna be watching every single episode as they come out. You can go watch them on FX.com, but also iTunes if you just want to do it that way, or wait for the whole season to come out. But I suggest watching it now because there is a fun mystery that they're brewing, and I'm excited to see it
I gotta
pay
catch up.
off. You gotta catch up. You gotta catch up. It's real
That's a
good.
great
All right,
poster.
Tweet those thoughts at us.
tweet dem thoughts. Actually, thank you for bringing that up because we got a fun tweet right here.
Ooh, so we're gonna try something new. We're gonna go to the fans and let them tell us what the best thing they saw all week was.
Hashtag best thing podcast.
Hashtag best thing podcast.
Yeah, so
Get
we got
that?
a tweet right here from Nathan Brooks at Natty_Brooks. The new episode of Atlanta FX has been amazing, and this week's episode was fantastic.
Convenient.
Yes. It is
Perfectly- perfect
perfectly
tweet.
lined up and everything. No, FX has got a good little lineup of shows. I can't wait to check out American Horror Story, Roanoke, I think they're calling that, or My Roanoke Nightmare. Roanoke.
What did they find out what the
The
theme
mystery
is?
behind Roanoke. I don't know. Do they? Do we
I don't know. I haven't
That's
seen
what
it.
They're gonna go after.
We're
What
gonna
is
check it out.
Roanoke?
Roanoke Island.
Oh, it's such a good story.
What is it?
We
It's
gotta
a
put it on
spooky
our
story.
horror podcast.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I'll tell you after. It's a good one. But Whitney, would you have a best thing that you saw this week?
I do. I wish that I had picked the other one. Sorry, editors.
Well, what
I'll tell
what
you
is the
guys.
other one? It's the second best
Okay.
thing you saw all week.
The other one that I picked is the new music video for a band called High on Fire,
you showed
a
us
metal
that.
band,
Yeah.
and the song is called The Black Plot, I believe. And it is my favorite thing I saw all week because one of my favorite artists of all time animated it, I guess. He did the art for it, and his name is Skinner. I have a book by him called Every Man Is My Enemy. He does this great fantasy art with these rad 80s colors and just really, really cool monster design, and
Get him
it's
to draw you.
Get him to draw us.
he
Yeah.
doesn't draw people, he draws spooky monsters.
Melt
Get
my
him to
face
draw
off.
you.
Melt my face off.
You're
Okay.
the spookiest monster.
Skinner, I know you're watching this.
Big time fan.
Big fan, please draw me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
And
the
what-
best thing you did see all week?
Best thing that I picked for this podcast is the first episode of Son of Zorn.
Ooh, there's a
which-
little picture for that. There it is. I love. I was able to check it out as well. I know Philip watched the trailer, but I love how. I hope we get intros like this because it's very similar to Venture Brothers and classic
yeah.
Scooby-Doo and Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Yeah, oh
Big
my
fan.
god.
That's like
First thing I
He-Man,
thought it was He-Man,
Yeah,
yeah.
he is obviously based
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I first saw this. There was a giant, one of those giant billboard ads outside
Sunset or
Comic Con.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Comic-Con was pushing it.
Yeah,
hard.
so there were a bunch of ads for Comic Con, and I was like, "What is this? I love animated shows. I love any cartoons." So obviously, I was intrigued. Also, I love
Phil Lord?
Roger Rabbit.
Oh,
yeah.
I almost
That
said
is
blame
the-
it on Roger Rabbit.
blame it on the beat.
Blame it on the rabbit. Do you love just that mix of live action and animation?
Yeah.
So
I love
strange.
mixed media in general,
you ever
but
see Cool
especially
World?
yes, Cool
Yeah.
World.
Cool
You look like you were
World.
in Cool World. by
Cool
the way.
World.
Whoa, high compliment, Philip. Thank you.
Cool World had my first crush in it.
Dude,
Brad
that would
Pitt.
Yes.
Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt was great in it, but also what was her name? Like Cherry or something?
I don't
Like,
remember.
I
looked it up later so I could talk about it.
Oh my god, she's a babe.
Coherently, obviously.
Well
Yeah.
done.
She's a babe in it. Yeah, I love any sort of animation on real life stuff, and so I was intrigued. And I love Jason Sudeikis. He's
Oh,
so
so good.
funny.
I
and
think he's
good.
my favorite part of the show thus
Yeah.
far.
Oh, me too.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's Phil Lord, Chris Miller.
Miller.
But they're working on it, and they're one of my favorite boys. They did Last Man on Earth. Very good. Lego Movie is real funny, and Cloudy with a
Yes.
Chance of Meatballs.
And
First one.
And
sorry, Clone High.
I've never
Ooh,
seen
I
Clone
didn't
High.
see Clone
Oh
High.
man, you guys could marathon Clone High and just enjoy the hell out of it. And Will Forte,
Oh.
another SNL, is
Yeah.
the voice of teenage Abraham Lincoln.
Nice.
And it is so good. And they have Gandhi.
Oh, is
and-
that why he reprised Lincoln in Lego Movie? Because he
Yes,
was Lincoln
yeah,
too.
exactly.
That's fun.
It is
yeah.
so,
I love Will
so good.
Forte.
Clone High is one of the most formative things to my sense of humor. Clone High and The Simpsons, like those two
I gotta
things
watch
together.
that. I've
It's
never
so
seen
good.
even
Oh,
an
those two
episode.
boys, they can make some good content.
They're fantastic, and they should make
Wow.
every movie.
I love the Lego movies so much, and I'm so excited for the Lego Batman movie.
Me too, but
Oh
they're
my
not really
God.
involved in it, so
Are they
not?
I'm a little nervous.
I didn't know that.
How are
sorry.
how's the how is Son of Zorn then?
Okay, so back to Son of Zorn. It's good. It has a little bit of that pilot syndrome where it's like, you have a lot of characters to introduce,
God,
and it's sort of hard to get a real vibe for what the comedy will be like. But as we were probably talking about this on an earlier episode of this podcast, that best thing to do with new shows is give it at least 3 episodes. And if you don't like it after that,
thing
you can choose to not watch. But I think 3 episodes is a really good way to get to know an episode. And I really liked the last 15 minutes of the
That's a
episode.
lot. Is it they're half hours?
They're
Yeah.
like 22 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
good. That's most of it.
Yeah, I like the
It's a
second
fun
half.
intro. I love that there's an island that where these animated things come
They're
from.
all animated. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
so
really
for
fun.
those of
Yeah.
you who do not know yet, it's about this guy Zorn, who's like a He-Man type warrior, and he comes from what's the islands? from this
Zephyria.
island? Yeah,
Zephyria.
Zephyria.
Yeah.
He goes to Orange County where his ex-wife and his son lives because he's gonna spend some more time with his son, who has like a ridiculous fantasy name that I can't remember.
Alegulon.
Alegulon.
But they call him Alan.
Dude, Sam
That's so
coming
good.
in with the facts.
Oh, really quick.
Alegulon.
A friend of the show, Tony Revolori, was in it. He was the friend of Alegulon that was hanging out with him.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
that's Tony Revolori. And he was in Grand Budapest Hotel. He's
Oh,
gonna be in
he's
Spider-Man
the
Homecoming.
main other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah,
very good.
I really like my other favorite part besides Zorn, obviously, is the kid, because he's such a funny, nerdy dude. He's so low key, and he's like, oh, my dad just comes in and swings a sword around.
It's like,
and
that's
he's
why we have a metal detector at school.
yeah, it's got some good gags. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see where it goes from here because the ending had a little bit of a twist, and I won't
lovely
say what that
mystery
is.
pilot.
Shyamalan
But it is, but it's really funny, and it definitely set up for some interesting things to happen. So I will for sure keep watching it.
I'll check it out. Are you surprised? It doesn't
Love
sound
that
like
bird.
It doesn't sound like the kind of thing that would be on Fox.
It is
I thought
similar.
that it was on
Adult Swim or
FX or
something?
Adult Swim.
I would have bought it on FX. It
FX,
seems
yeah.
right up their alley, with Archer. But I do see the Family Guy-esque humor. If they have Last Man on Earth, I think Fox is pretty happy right now with the two boys, the Phil Lord, Chris Miller team.
the two boys.
Because Last Man on Earth is. First season was a little rough, but second season really picked up, and season 3 is going to be. I'm really
I
excited.
still gotta
for
watch
that.
Last Man on Earth.
Ooh,
it's been on my list
that
for
might
such
be
a
the
long
best
time.
thing I saw all week.
Ooh.
No, it's not. Atlanta is. But I'm excited for more Son of Zorn as well. It's so strange to see him interact with people, like when they have to shake hands or like
How the effects.
yeah. It's
how the effects move, because when they go in for a handshake, obviously Zorn's also a lot bigger, so they can kind of he can grab the
hide.
entire hand
Yeah.
and everything. A lot of the jokes mostly Jason Sudeikis' jokes all land. The
Yeah.
other ones are the rougher ones.
Yeah, and I attribute that in part to it being a pilot, and in part to acting with an animated
True.
actor.
That makes
I think there has to be like a person.
There's
there.
there's
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
be.
even if
Oh,
there
yeah.
is though, like,
Just doing a line read probably, but
you think
it's-
Jason Sudeikis is there?
I don't think so.
I think he's
man.
too big.
Yeah, I think that
too
he's too
big.
busy. And then
He-
they probably got like a stand-in or something to read the lines.
So Jason Sudeikis on his days on SNL, I used to show people like we used to do a sketch group and be like, this is like the utmost straight man because he is not supposed to be making you laugh, and yet he is like sometimes the funniest part of any sketch that he's in.
Yeah.
I will see most movies that he's in. I didn't see Hall Pass. I think that's the one he was in, but I was so surprised by We Are the Millers, that movie
I
that
love
came
that
out.
movie.
Right, it
I
was a
thought it
big
was
surprise.
great,
I
yeah.
loved it. The one person in the show that's not quite clicking with me yet because he's supposed to be like he's the fiance, Tim Meadows. I was looking up his name.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
I
Tim
liked
Meadows.
him. I like his gag that he's a therapist in it, but he's super insecure and he talks like very candidly about his insecurities. Like, I'm being emasculated right now, so I'm gonna go. And it's so like. I don't know. I think that there's gonna be some really good jokes with that. Who's the wife though?
She's the
She's
one.
not my
She's
fave.
from Curb Your Enthusiasm, no? Is that
And
that
how
character?
Cheryl Hines.
Cheryl Hines.
Cheryl
I'm gonna like
Hines.
obviously again like gotta say pilot episode like I'm gonna give it a chance to find its groove, but she to me was the weakest part of the episode just because like they talk about a little bit of their like sexual chemistry and their their history together. She's his ex-wife and she's supposed to be like into it, but I couldn't like I mean it's hard to establish an emotional connection with a
Yeah.
cartoon, but like
I have an
not
emotional
my
connection
favorite
with Zorn. I feel something for Zorn.
I feel something for Zorn
Even though
too.
he's an asshole,
I
I
feel
feel
something
bad
for
for him.
Bruin.
I mean, that's the Archer mystery too. It's like, well, how's he charming? Like, you like him somehow. Still.
Yeah, girls only like assholes, not us nice guys.
Right? Am
Yeah.
I right? Us guys, nice guys.
Yeah.
We're real nice guys.
Just warning people: if you ever call yourself a nice guy, you're never really a nice guy.
No.
Oh.
Never self-label yourself that. It's just a good rule of thumb. Are you tired? Oh.
Yes, I'm so tired.
She was falling asleep.
I was stretching my neck. I'm like pretty sore from working out.
Oh, of course. Oh, that's a secret surprise for SourceFedNERD in the future, so keep your eyes peeled. But Son of Zorn, I'm guessing it's an animated slot that goes out on Sundays with their Family
Animation
Guys.
domination. slot.
Animation domination. They had a show called that last year that came out, and it was very good. They had a lot of good. They have a YouTube series, Animation Domination, where they had like real life Spider-Man and real life
Oh
like
yeah,
Batman
no, I did
or
see
Ninja
that.
Turtles and stuff.
Anatomically correct.
Oh, anatomically, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
so good.
scientifically accurate
Whatever,
Superman
yeah,
or
yeah.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great series. But Fox,
Disgusting.
yeah, thank
I didn't
you.
know that Fox put that out. I thought
Yeah.
that was
Well,
just
they're
like a YouTube
behind.
thing.
Well, isn't that ADHD? So
Yeah.
that is- yeah.
That's them. That's
Oh, right,
the
right.
Fox boys.
ADHD is Fox?
Yeah, behind it.
I gotta get my network straight. I thought that was Adult Swim.
No. They're very talented. I'm a big fan. But Philip, what do you want to bring to the
Do you have
table?
any more tweets?
No, not for Son of Zorn. Apparently, Whitney is the only one who
only one who
watched
watched
Son
it.
of Zorn.
I wanted to plug it because I want also like to be honest, not my favorite thing I saw. Best thing I saw was probably Blair Witch, but we talked about that today.
You should go check that out. It's on the channel, full review.
Yeah, I forgot about the High on Fire video, which go watch that. Maybe we'll do assets later.
No, I'll throw a link in the description. There you
Okay,
go.
but this one I really wanted to like give a shout out to just because I believe in animation so
Yeah.
much and I really want there to be more stuff like this. And so I'm willing to give it, maybe if it wasn't my favorite pilot episode ever, I'm willing to give it more of a pass because I really want to support it.
Well, and how many shows are like great from the pilot? You know,
None.
It's not
Almost
Atlanta.
many.
none. Atlanta.
Atlanta's pretty
Atlanta.
good. Lost again.
Lost.
Lost had one of the best pilots ever. But you can name them on 10 fingers.
10
10
fingers.
Cool. So I will tell you about the best thing I saw all week,
Ooh.
and it's a YouTube video. And if you guys don't know Every Frame of Painting, you gotta go watch his entire back catalog. If you're a film buff, this guy is an editor. Tony, I think it's Zhao, but
That sounds right.
it's a kind of name that like some people pronounce like in a way you can't interpret, and then you feel dumb every time you say it.
Is it like XIAO?
It's ZHOU,
Oops.
I believe. Yeah. But Tony Zahu, he is an editor, and I don't know if you do either of you guys edit?
I had it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you guys have probably learned so much about like rhythm and filmmaking just from editing. So I'm an editor too, and I love his videos because he reassembles like why something works, and that's kind of what I'm always trying to figure out too, is why does this film work so well? And so his most recent one really applies to the SourceFedNERD group. It's called the Marvel Symphonic universe rather than Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it asks a really interesting question. But I'm actually gonna open the conversation for a second in the same way he opens his video. It's a little bit of a pop quiz, so sorry about that, but if you don't do well on it, it doesn't mean anything about you guys and your fandom. I failed this pop quiz right at the top, too. First off, can you guys sing any theme song from any Star Wars movie?
Yes. Yeah. Do you want me to?
Yeah, prove it.
Almost sang the Jurassic Park one. What the fuck? There we go. Couldn't think of the damn tune.
I thought of Indiana Jones at first.
But so if you can do Indiana Jones, that's interesting. You thought of Jurassic Park. We can all think. What about 007, GoldenEye, or any? Right. Cool. What about any?
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. It's a great little
we're
orchestra.
Nailing it.
Yeah.
And for those of you listening, this is music to your ears. Wipe the blood from your earlobe. And then what about any Marvel movie?
Dun 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 dun. Dun, dun. It's the Avengers. Yeah.
So the Avengers is the one where I'm like, they might get Avengers, and yet I don't think most people even recognize that one. If you're a huge nerd, you can get Avengers. But aside from that, it's pretty difficult. I have one very specific one that I can do, but it's not a Marvel movie.
What is it?
Yeah.
The
X-Men TV show, the animated series.
Yeah.
That's the only one that really stuck with me. And so Tony, in his video, I say he's asking the question, why do we not really remember the Marvel movie scores? And he doesn't get into this, but it made me think of, at first I was like, well, this is just a modern problem. And then I remembered when Wonder Woman shows up in Batman v Superman, and it is that kind of immigrant song kind of sound.
It's like a screechy strings and everything.
And I loved it, and it was so recognizable, and then I couldn't equate that to anything in Marvel, and I was like, wow, that is pretty specific to Marvel that they're doing kind of these very safe but not memorable pieces of music, and you learn all kinds of really interesting things. And no matter what I say, go watch the video because it goes on for like 20 minutes of really getting into this. But things like, and this is something I've struggled with when I've made films, temp tracks are tracks that a director might ask an editor to put in the meantime. It's probably from another movie, usually weirdly from Transformers.
Really?
They very often go to Transformers movies for their temporary tracks, and they drop them in, and then they edit to that. But the thing is, when you're editing, if you've ever edited anything, you hear that same piece again and again and again, and then they fall in love with it. And so every modern composer has that bane of their existence, the temp music, because the director's always like, can you just make it sound like the temp music again? And I remember I made a short film. So this happened to me twice, and I'm realizing. I made one where I stupidly put in Tiny Dancer and into like this like sweet scene, and it's like, I'm never gonna be able to afford the rights to Tiny Dancer. What the hell am I doing? And yet I could never like think of another song that matched.
That's a weird concept to do that to me, because I feel like when I edit stuff, I leave the music till the very end because I don't want it to influence how I edit it.
That's probably it's probably a good tactic. But when I edit, there's like a couple pieces I like to do that are just like you're supposed to. I want you to experience what I've shot. It's like they're bucket list videos that I like to do where it's like I want you to feel exactly what I felt. So I find the song to match it. So I have to edit to the song. I don't really. Usually I'm just like, I'm putting it out there, not monetized, not making money off of it. It's more of just so people can just watch it. That's all I want. But no, it's a problem. It's a very big problem when you have to edit like that. Also, I saw a video that came out a little bit before this one it talked about Pixar movies. And like, can you name a Pixar theme song? Like if someone did...
the Toy Story.
It's a Toy Story, Toy Story. It's a Toy Story.
Yes. You should watch the same one. Or like in ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da.
Toy Story.
Yeah, that's the close. It's Up. It's the one with the people.
Yeah.
So these are so that's Michael Giacchino, and he is one of the few people. Or if you are a big Lost fan and you remember The Constant or something, there's a couple of these scores in Lost that just like stay with you. And one thing that's interesting is a big reason why a lot of the things start to sound the same, aside from, so temp music is one of them. They keep recycling the same temp music, and then the director falls in love with it, and he's like, do it again. The other one, so Hans Zimmer is one of the greatest composers of our time. He's one of the people writing original pieces. It's great. But he also was really behind the electronic instruments movement. And when
I've seen his rigs that he makes. He's made his own
amazing.
like instrumental rigs to like
and they
make
sound
electronic music.
amazing. And yet, so all of his scores are created on a computer, and yet when you go to the credits list of music, you still see 100 people there. That's how many people it's going through to still make sure it sounds as good. Or certain, but here's the key: certain instruments can't be recreated as well, like a soft flute, like think the flute from Titanic or something, that you can't really quite do that in a computer in a very realistic way. So, but what you can do very well is percussion. And also strings are very easy to do.
Except for the one that Hans Zimmer did, because I saw this one because I watched The Dark Knight back behind the scenes. You know that with the shot in the very beginning where they're zooming into the window before it blows out and they do the Joker robbery of the bank?
Yeah.
That one note, they had to do it like a million times because they had to just get it with one pull of the string, and that that's not something that you would ever record before, so you have to just keep doing it over and over again to time it with the scene as you're going.
Oh, that's
it's
amazing.
very cool.
So, so those instruments though, because they are the most realistic, and also certain kinds of brass instruments, because they're so realistic on computers, they kind of just became the sound of our modern action movies because they can do them very cheaply and very quickly. Imagine if you had to pay 100 different 100-piece orchestra to show up every time. You're like, what if it sounded like this? It's like an entire orchestra, or you just change it on a computer a little bit. So all those things have made these movies sound the same. And that's kind of a magic that we're losing right now in the Marvel movies. I mean, I'm one of the biggest defenders of superhero movies, and I think the Marvel movies are some of the best things coming out. I think that the writing is way better than people give it credit for. The acting is very good. And yet, like, there is that piece of like,
that.
I still hum the Jurassic Park theme to myself.
Yeah.
I don't hum
before you go to sleep
every single night, and I say, "Don't get me T-Rex."
What was the last movie that you guys think had like an earworm?
Score.
Pixar.
Yeah.
Pixar for sure. Because the thing that I was referencing is that people used to focus, or composers focused on, you speaking about temp music to like fill out and then people fall in love with it, but people would create themes for characters or moments. It's like, that's really important because the way it's, I should show you guys this video also because it shows in Up specifically that da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's not the main character's
I
theme.
haven't seen Up.
Really? It's very
Get
sad.
It seems like
It's
it would make me so sad.
It's very sad.
R.I.P. ears.
But it talks about how that theme isn't for the movie or even a character in it. It's for his wife that had passed away.
Amazing.
And so whenever he sees something that influenced his life because of her, it's like when he sees the scrapbook that she made, the adventure book, that's when the music comes back in. And that's why it hurt. That's why like they can manipulate emotions so well with these themes. And if modern composers use those as well, we would actually become more emotionally invested sometimes in the scene because the music is tuned. We're like programmed to like follow that theme and like figure out how it's being played.
And yet, like, so exactly what you just said, how perfect would that fit into the Marvel universe? Assign Captain America his theme, Winter Soldier his theme, Iron Man his theme. And they do, obviously they do, like AC/DC and stuff like to try to
I
do
guess
this.
that's
and those are
the
shortcuts,
best.
so like, those are memorable. But imagine if like, when there's little hints, or maybe like, not to spoil the movie, so I'll make up a plot point. Let's say someone else is going to take over Iron Man's role, take over the Iron Man mantle. If they're just kind of like looking at the costume and then you start to hear Iron Man's theme come up and it's like, oh, man, he's going to step into that role.
It'd
Like you
mean
can
more.
tell more story. And also it's just that iconic thing. By the way, quick answer. Immediately, I don't know why, when you were like, what's the last movie that it was for you, the earworm? For some reason, it was specifically Terminator, which is so old.
Really?
Yeah.
But yet that da-da-da-da-da.
That's a good one.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Sometimes you just need like, that's a theme. Yeah, you
Yeah.
just need like a sting. Like whenever he shows up and that music plays, you're like, ah, shit.
Yeah.
Shit's going to shit.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
So, do you guys think that this is something that like needs to change, or is it like, well, that's a specific era where themes were the thing, and we're just not in that era.
It would
right now.
become, it would make the movies mean more to moviegoers and not just fans of action movies and comics. It would mean more to like film buffs and also people who are like in the music industry because it means that they're taking the time to build out these characters and add another dimension to them. It's also showing that that they're not just slapping something together to make more money. They're actually wanting you to experience something on a deeper level. Like there was a lot of emotion in Captain America: Civil War, but imagine if it meant more. Like if you had a theme in the beginning with like I don't want to go into too many spoilers, but like when you have a flashback with his parents, with Iron Man's parents, imagine if there's a theme for that, and when he starts like having to like revisit those moments throughout the movie,
the
like
Stark's theme or something.
Yeah,
I love that.
It would have
but
meant more.
I almost think that you don't need to have an iconic theme anymore because people tend to pay, at least the people that I know, tend to pay more attention to a film's overall score. And things like Civil War, and even the first one that comes to mind is It Follows, you know, like
That music is
genre movie.
amazing.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
Disaster Piece. Have you, by the way, do you know anything else that he's done? He's done like the most soothing, like mellow electronica for
synth-y
like
stuff.
app games.
Oh, that's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's so good. But like one of the most unsettling soundtracks that you couldn't name one song really, but as a whole, and I think that that's more important almost.
So, that's fascinating. That idea that the overall score. So some people are like, no, you got to have these recognizable themes.
I
Some
think
people are like,
I think I agree with you. I just think that the themes would enhance it.
I think so too.
so
Yeah.
here's the interesting point. That is, again, watch Tony Zhao's video.
Subscribe to his channel.
Yeah,
Also,
Every
it's
Fram
amazing.
Painting. Support him on Patreon. I think it's on there. There is one a bigger point he makes where they're afraid of letting the music do the talking. So he has this great example of in Winter Soldier when Bucky is walking through the Captain America Museum. And currently, a little bit of music starts to play, and you start to hear, what is it? Like, the super soldier serum was first administered to Steve Rogers, whatever, and it like starts. It's this kind of cheesy narration that you might hear when you walk into a museum. So he took that audio out of the narration and he just lifted the score up, and I mean, watch it. I can't do it justice. The scene out of nowhere, you're like, oh, this is such an emotional scene where Bucky is seeing his friend's like life. Oh no, excuse me, it's not even Bucky. I'm just wrong. It's Captain America.
Oh, Captain America through the museum, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And he's in disguise. And a little boy kind of sees him and realizes that's him. That's Steve Rogers.
yeah.
But it's done just with the music, and yet it's a 45-second sequence, and you're in fact more blown away. And when I got to that part in the video, I was like, holy crap, best thing I saw all week.
Yeah. No, that isn't. Also, specifically, that Captain America: Civil War is one of the more emotional movies that Marvel has made, especially when you have to deal with a man who is out of time and everyone he knows and loves is dead. It's a pretty rough thing to deal with. But imagine if they had a theme in there, especially if Peggy Carter had a theme, if somebody had a theme, especially when even in the TV shows now that I'm thinking about it, like there's nothing iconic anymore. Like Fringe had also, did you ever watch Fringe?
Yep. Fringe.
J.J. Abrams, like made the intro, like he plays it. He's the one playing the piano in the beginning. That theme of that piano is so spooky and so eerie. Whenever I hear it, I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna get crazy. I don't know. I appreciate a good theme song. I feel that it is
Flash
important.
has a good score.
Flash does. See,
like
even
that.
What
DC's.
about Rick and Morty?
Rick and Morty's got a good
They've
one.
got a good theme. Rick and Morty is one of those shows that utilizes not scores but songs to like really, really push some of the emotional drama in it. And they find good indie music. There's one
in the one where they see their deaths or
That's
whatever.
one of them,
doppelgangers,
definitely.
yeah.
That's definitely one of them. But I feel like when you were talking about that, I was trying to think of themes that I could remember, and almost all of them were actual songs that had just
Well,
been
that's
like
another
made.
way to do it. So
yeah.
that's the track, the method
on a
that Suicide
Feeling.
Squad did, which actually was not the original choice for Suicide Squad. They made an entire score for that movie, and then there's a very interesting story to be told about what happened on Suicide Squad.
Lot of
and
shit
the
happened.
remaking of that movie and the re-editing of that movie,
Yeah.
all based on the success of that trailer, the Bohemian
Yeah.
Rhapsody trailer. But when they went back and re-edited the movie, they also replaced the score with all that soundtrack that my friend said adequately. It's an iPod shuffle, just like kind of going nuts. Or
No,
whatever.
in the first 10 minutes, you hear like 30 songs. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's no no cohesiveness to them too. It's just kind of like this one starts and then it ends, and
Yeah.
then this one starts. And then
If they
it ends.
meant anything to the characters, like they explained their story at all, like that
They're
would have been
very-
cool.
But
It's
the-
like a
or-
music video.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
well,
in
but-
American Horror Story, it's just like, here's a song for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But what it was more frustrating here is that it was so literal too. If I'm blanking now on what it was, but I remember as I was watching, I was like, the only reason you use that song is because it had words in that song that were literally what happens on screen in that moment. Oh, it was when Harley Quinn is on the elevator and you hear very specifically, its case was swing, bada, bada, swing.
Yeah.
And it's like, because she has a bat.
Oh.
That's why you picked
That's
that
as
song.
deep as this movie will go with its music.
The music,
But
yeah.
let us know what you guys think when it comes to themes in movies. I've always thought this is really interesting, especially when like the music in films, I feel like will only enhance it, and sometimes it's necessary for a film. Like I think It Follows. The reason why that movie is stuck in my brain so much because of also the movie itself, but also the soundtrack and the score for that film.
drive,
Have you guys
too.
ever
Yeah.
driven and listened to the It Follows soundtrack at night?
Oh, that sounds
No,
wonderful. Let's
It's
do
great.
that.
I went on a road trip last year and I drove at night
Mm-hmm.
and just put it on for my friend as we were pulling out of this creepy gas station.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very
Well, I
terrifying.
love you because you attach the emotion. That's why you guys see it. Anytime I'm writing, I listen to the same score again and again.
It's
Oblivion
Yeah.
score, and it
Top
blasts.
volume.
Yeah. Well, it goes out my headphones,
Yeah.
but anything I'm writing, I'm like, this is epic. Yeah.
Really quick, those are the best things that we saw this week, but we want to we threw it to you guys on Twitter using the hashtag BestThingPodcast. We wanted you guys to send us what your best thing was that you saw this week, and I'm going to read a few off real quick because we appreciate you guys. Thank you for supporting the show. Make sure you share it with your friends. But first off, we got Brad Melma Warzol rewatched
Ooh.
Green Room, still one of the best movies in recent memory. And I know, Whitney, you haven't seen Green
Still
Room
have
yet.
not seen
You
it.
can borrow it. I can give it to you. It's real good, and I know you've seen it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies of last year and this year. I was able to see it at Fantastic Fest a little bit early, but it was released 2016. Fantastic movie. Anton Yelchin, one of my favorite roles in him. R.I.P. Great actor. And also Patrick Stewart. I've never seen him play a role like that before.
Definitely no, that was fascinating. Also, just don't let anybody build it up for you too much because it's that kind of cinema verite a little bit style. It's not gonna be a typical movie, so it's not. Don't like, oh, it's gonna have these twists and turns. It's gonna play out like it would in real life, and that's what's magical about
There's
it.
like a flavor to the movie, like especially when it comes to the
Green.
punk scenes. Green, that's
Yeah.
the flavor.
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite Simpsons jokes, but that's for a different thing.
Yeah.
But I love the punk scene and how, like, at least it's for me. I remember going to punk shows when I was a kid with my older brother and I was terrified, and I got that feeling from this movie, which I really appreciate.
That's great. What else we got?
Super Sam the Ham at Super Sam the Ham writes, the trailer for the new Disney film Moana really is up there. Disney is on a roll recently, arguably more than Pixar.
It's a great trailer.
Real
that's
jab. Was a
good
that's
trailer.
fighting words, but it is a really good trailer.
No, but like think about it, like their track record since Tangled going up, like their
never
movies.
seen
they're doing
Tangled.
great.
Here's
yeah.
a Tangled. Tangled's
No,
great.
Is Tangled great?
Tangled's real good.
The trailer for this movie, I remember I really liked the last joke. I didn't like the second last joke where it's like,
The butt.
really in my butt. And I was like, but it is for kids.
It's
Yeah.
for kids.
I
We got to remember
guess.
that. Yeah, I had
Kids love butt.
Sometimes you like want to like tear apart those movies a little bit because I like to, but I'm
Right.
like, okay, it's for kids. Don't
We're
get
not the
too.
intended.
Yeah.
And then they like wink a joke at you. Yeah.
I am very excited for that movie. I love the added bonus of that she can control the ocean, or the ocean's her
Yeah.
friend.
That's very
She, like,
cool.
high
Yeah.
fives
Yeah.
the
She
ocean.
high fives
It's
and like
so
it
cool.
saves her and like moves her around and everything.
I
It
love
looks like it's guiding her.
Polynesian, like lore and culture too. It's
Yeah,
so
it's very
so
interesting.
He's a
cool.
shapeshifter.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Also, The Rock. How can you not love him in that
Everybody loves The
movie?
Rock.
Man, until he does something terrible. Where
Dude,
I'm
I don't
just gonna-
want it to.
I really don't want to find out that Rock is like a terrible Bill Cosby or any other person that we found out that is.
Yeah, you've had a bad track record with your heroes.
It's true. I
sorry.
have. Louis C.K. just takes his dick out.
Oh,
Oh.
that is a very big story. That is a very interesting story. That is for our Ruining Comedians' Careers podcast.
That's we got a lot of podcasts coming down the pipeline. One more, or we got like maybe two more. Theory for at Theory F2104. This is the best I've seen. Todd McFarlane teases badass and scary Spawn reboot. Were you guys a fan of
What?
Spawn?
I've been
I
talking
did.
about this
Mhm.
needing to happen.
I didn't
Yeah.
see that, but I loved Spawn.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
seen Spawn. I
It's
know
so
of
violent.
Spawn.
Either the cartoon or
I've read
the
a little bit of the
movie or
comic. I've
yeah.
read a little bit of the comic, but I know Michael J. White was Spawn
Was
in
Spawn,
the movie.
and
And
Do you remember who else was in it?
No.
John Leguizamo,
Yay.
looking exactly like Danny DeVito as the clown. Like, oh man,
That's cool. I'm excited. I would love a more modern Spawn
Yeah.
reboot.
Yeah.
It'd be so badass with the like proper CG. I'm a
Yeah, I mean,
fan.
it'd be cooler than I think I'd prefer that over Constantine.
Yeah.
New one.
I love
think so
Constantine.
because it's just Constantine.
Constantine. Constantine. Also, we'll go ahead and throw this last one in there. We did a video on it this week from Hunter at Nip. At Hunter Games 191, new bat suit for Justice League. You can go check out our
Yes.
SourceFedNERD video on that. We break it down. We
It's a
compare it to
cool
a lot
one.
of stuff. I like it because, to be honest, I love Man of Steel. I love Henry Cavill's Superman costume because there's a lot of details in there.
Yeah.
The S like kind of almost shines and like the little tiny things inside of
I
it.
love that.
Also, Wonder Woman's like metal, but it's like kind of like glossy and just it's also just looks like armor. It's awesome. Batman's, I was like, "Dad, what's all over it? What's on it? Like, what's the texture of this suit?"
Well, that texture is kind of similar to. Well, to me, I read that as like Kevlar-esque or something.
Yeah.
Is that what it
like,
is?
That's what
like
I
take
thought.
stabbings and stuff.
Okay.
To me, it's the logo. It's what kind
tactical.
of like makes you feel a little weird
It,
about
it looks as silly as it is because we're talking about comic book characters,
Right,
but
and
it
it's based
felt
on the comic.
it
Yeah,
felt
that one.
cartoony
I didn't
to how
mind it.
big it was.
I
so.
liked it too. You know what I really like? I don't know why this is read as stealth in my mind, but like gray, black, like things that are gray and black. I just love. It has to do with Batman. I think is part of it. But the new one, I just like. I get it's a stupid little trigger in my brain whenever I see things like that. I go, oh yeah, it needed that much abs.
Yeah.
Like consistently, like whoever's making that costume, so Alfred,
Yeah.
is like more abs,
More abs. He's
deeper, stronger abs.
So Bruce is going back to Alfred, more abs. He's like, yes,
Yeah.
Master
It's
Wayne,
an
and then all the
intimidation
Robins
thing.
come in and ask him for it too.
Yeah. Did you remember to put more abs on?
Yeah. I need the 9. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
And
6,
they're like
7, 8. There
like,
you go.
Like 6 inches thick.
Yeah.
I
Each
always
one.
think about that whenever I see cosplayers, and it's like,
Oh, the fake
either
abs?
the fake abs, or they get airbrushed. It's like that was a conscious decision. You handcrafted those abs by yourself.
Hey, and their spare time, and maybe underneath they might be real. You never know.
Maybe.
One day we'll all have abs like that. But
No,
guys,
we do.
We do.
There's no way for you to know right now.
But guys, let us know what the best thing is you saw this week in the comments down below or on Twitter using the hashtag BestThingPodcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. Whitney, where can they find you?
At Tweet Anymore and at metalsucks.net and right here.
Oh, nice.
Philip, where can they find you?
At Fimo on Twitter, at Fimo Knows everywhere else, and right here.
Hey! And you can find me Twitter, Sam Basher, Instagram, Sam Basher, Only Stupid Answers podcast, fun little nerdy thing. And right here, may I have your hands
And
for prayer?
What's
Thank
this called
you.
again?
This is the best thing
Thing
I saw all week.
All week. We'll get it.
We'll sync it up. We'll have a theme song next time. See, brought it back around with the themes.
Whose finger's that?
Whose is it? We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
I guess we have to go back to our live feed.
We have just received confirmation that the suspect is carrying a hostage. That hostage is a child.
Why did he give me a parking ticket last Tuesday?